Hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am going over the worst books of 2019. This video is going to be a little sassy, a little salty maybe, because these are the books I personally liked the least. Some of the books I genuinely think are very bad, some of them might just be my personal opinion, so if you liked any of these books, I am so genuinely happy for you. No one wants to read books they don't like, so if you like these, I am so happy. Sadly, I did not, so let's all be nice to each other in the comments. But there are many reasons why books are on this list. Basically, if I DNF'd, it's definitely on the list because I could not finish it. Or if I talked about it in a video called Dumpster Fires, probably going to be on my list. So yeah, those are the kind of the criteria here. If I felt strongly enough that I had a DNF, or strongly enough that I made a video about it, it's definitely on this list. The rest are just kind of, you could probably guess just from, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you can kind of guess which ones I hated this year. Well, hate is a strong word. Which ones I didn't like this year. Well, you know, well, a couple of them I hated, but let's be real here. A couple of them I hated. But yeah, these are just the books that are my least faves of 2019. I'm gonna start off being real salty, okay? It's a Tessa Dare book. How dare I? I love Tessa Dare. I love her to bits. But let's be real. Surrender with Siren. It's not her best work. And recently, you know what? I was stalking Tessa Dare on Twitter. Well, stalking's a strong word. I just happened to be looking at her tweets. And she was mentioning reading a bad review for one of her books. And it was books from this series. So, and then even she said in the tweet, she's like, yeah, some of it's deserved. I've done better since. So even she thinks this isn't her best work. So I feel like if I'm gonna pick a book not to like, it's okay with this series. This is the first series of hers. Even she thinks they're kind of bad, so it's all right. But, oh boy, was this one bad. I was shocked. Like, if this was the first Tessa Dare book I ever read, I probably wouldn't have read anything else but Tessa Dare. Like, it's bad. Yeah, it has all the ingredients of things that could be cool. Like, it has pirates or privateers in it. It's got a runaway bride. It's got, like, high seas adventure stories. They got the East Indies or the West Indies. One of the Indies is in here. And, like, so it has all these cool things. And it's just terrible. It's so bad. The characters are stupid and toxic and just bad for each other. And it's not good. It's not her best work. And I feel like I'm allowed to be critical still. Like, yes, I am a Tessa Dare super fan, but I'm not, like, blind and stupid in my devotion to her. Because, yes, I am very devoted to Tessa Dare books, but, like, I can also acknowledge not all of them are going to be winners. And this is the non-winner. So, considering the author herself has also said, like, yeah, it's kind of deserved, I feel okay ragging on this one a little bit. I will fight you if you say bad things about her new books, though, because those are good. Okay, so this isn't really a surprise to anybody, but I loathed Darkfever by Karen Marie Moning. This was so highly recommended to me all the time, and I was like, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna love it. This is like a slam dunk, and I started reading it, and I was like, I'll side-eye this for a minute. Maybe it's just starting rough. And I was like, all right, you know, I'm gonna stick it out. And then I was like, oh no, this is just bad. It is like infuriatingly bad. Like, I did listen on audiobook for this, and it was just me in my car in traffic screaming at this stupid bitch. It's like, ah! I was so angry all the time I was reading it. I was hate reading it because I fucking hated Michaela. She's so goddamn stupid. Like, she is too stupid to live. I hate the main character of this book. Like, hate. It has such potential to be cool. It's like Irish Celtic mythology fae story. Oh, I'm in. That sounds super cool, but it's so fucking bad. Like, I don't have words. I did a video called Dumpster Fires, and it was about this one and one of the other books on this list, so that should tell you all I think about it. It's a dumpster fire. I'm frankly astonished this main character has not gotten herself murdered like 80 times just from sheer stupidity. So, yeah, I hate it. I hate it so much. And I know this is like a favorite series of like a lot of people, but I'm just like, maybe this is like the Mandela effect, and like I'm in this alternate universe where like I'm not reading the same book as everyone else, because I hated it. Okay, let's move on. I had to put The Mister by E.L. James on this list because it was the other book in the video called Dumpster Fires, because it's literally that bad. I literally called that video Dumpster Fires because that's the only way to describe this book. It sounds extreme, but it's literally a dumpster fire of a book. I mean, say what you want about the 50 Shades of Grey series. Like, they're not great literature, let's be real. But hot damn, are they very readable. You're reading it and you're like, oh, this is stupid. What are these dummies gonna do next? There's something about it that's very intensely readable. And you gotta finish it, you know what I mean? They're like trashy novels, and if you just want to read a trashy novel, excellent stuff. However, this is the new series by E.L. James, and I was like, all right, let's try this out. Maybe it's gonna be another trashy book I can get into. And honestly, it should be in the trash on fire. It is so bad. Like, it's not redeemable. There's nothing redeemable. It's also somewhat of a DNF. I read about 70% of it and just skimmed the last 30% because I'm like, how's this end? Fuck, I don't care. It's also, like, frankly offensive at times. There's a lot of dialogue in here that is supposed to be, like, sexy, but when you think about it with any critical thought, you're like, wow, that is very problematic. Like, for example, this is just a pet peeve of mine in books. Like, if things are getting a little hot and heavy and the guy says, you gotta be sure because otherwise I won't be able to stop. It's like, what the fuck do you mean you won't be able to stop? That's just rape. Like, what? What? Everyone is able to stop, okay? If my dog is eating his favorite treat and I tell him to stop, he fucking stops, and he's a dog. So no, men can stop. That's bullshit. And that dialogue was used often in here, and I was like, ugh, barf, barf, forever, barf. And so it was so deliberately unsexy in the sexy things that were happening, and frankly, the plot is ridiculous. It's stupid. It has, like, human trafficking in it, but it is such, like, a poor portrayal of it that it's like, just don't. You could have written literally anything else and I would have been okay with it. Like, ugh. Oh gosh. It's really, really bad. It is a dumpster fire of a book. Oh, dumpsters. Okay. So yeah, I can't say anymore. It's making me hurt to think about it. So let's just move on. Also on my list is Highlander Ever After by Paula Quinn. I was reading this with a couple other booktubers, Beautifully Bookish Bethany and the Tiny Tea Set. We were all gonna read this together, and I was like, yeah, it's a Highlander book. He's got a sword, he's got a claymore on the cover, and he's wearing a kilt. Yes, give me that book. And then I was reading it, and I was like, this is the worst. It's actually a DNF. I read like 50 to 60% of it, and there's just like, I honestly can't make myself read it anymore. I skimmed a little bit, and I hated it. I read this a long time ago. What was this even about? I think it was, there's this guy and this woman, and it's like a marriage of inconvenience. She doesn't want to marry him, he doesn't want to marry her, but they get married anyway, and then, like, she is such, like, a fucking brat the whole time. Like, she's just so rotten all the time, and I get it. Like, you don't want to marry this guy. You got taken away from your family, everything you know, shipped off to Scotland and married to some dude. Mind you, it's a dude who looks like this, who has all of his teeth and hair. And like in the 1600s Scotland, that was rare. So, I mean, you could have done worse. Seriously, he like spends the whole book being nice to her. His whole family is nice to her. They like are so nice to her all the time. They're like, yeah, we know it's not ideal, but let's make the best of it. And she's like, fuck everybody! She's just hysterical the whole time. And like, he never touches her without her permission. Like, bitch, you could have done worse. And like, I couldn't take her sulking anymore. Like, bitch, you gotta get over some shit in life. Like, you could have done way worse. You could have been in a way worse position than you are now. But like, ugh, I wanted to leave the pity party immediately. Oh, so bad. It's so bad. I had DNF. So it's on this list. I couldn't finish it because I literally, every part of my body couldn't force myself to read it. Like there was nothing in my soul that would keep me going. So yeah, I just cut and run. Also on the list is Just Like Heaven by Julia Quinn. And I read this, I think, the beginning of 2019, but I still remember it because it's the first book by Julia Quinn I've ever read. And a lot of people really, really love Julia Quinn. And I was like, I don't know if Julia Quinn's for me. And I felt so guilty. Because I'm like, maybe I read like the one bad book. Because she's so popular and she has so many books. Maybe I just read the one bad one because, oh boy, this is so bad. It is so dull. Like literally nothing is happening in it. Like there is like 50 pages about soup. Fucking soup, guys. And I'm not even being facetious. It's literally 50 pages. Like the guy is sick and she's trying to feed him soup. And mind you, he's barely conscious. He's not talking to her. They're not having conversations. She's literally just feeding him soup. Like, yeah, I get it. He's sick and like could die. And that's like exciting. I don't know. He's literally just laying in bed eating soup. And it's so dull. It is the dullest book. Like, there's barely any smut, and the smut that we have is kind of, honestly, mediocre sex at best. So I was like, what the fuck, guys? Like, am I not a Julia Quinn person? I don't know. I still have been meaning to read another book by Julia Quinn just to make sure I didn't read, like, the one bad one. But, it was literally so dull that it makes me scared to read her other books. So, it's really bad. But I did finish it. So there's that, because I just kept hoping something in here would get good, and it didn't. So, I'm really nervous about Julia Quinn now. But I gotta read something else by her. So, I'm hoping this is like the one bad book. Fingers crossed. Sadly, on my list is Bride of the Sea by Emma Hamm. This is another buddy read with Jean Bookish Thoughts, and oh gosh, okay, so again, this is a book made of things that sounds cool. It's like Celtic mythology, it's mermaids, it's a Little Mermaid retelling, and honestly, it's so bad that it's like laughable. This is a DNF. I read about 40 to 50% of it, and it was just like, I literally don't give a shit what happens to these people. Like, it's just poorly written. The plot doesn't make any sense, and I mean, there's fucking mermaids in it. To say a plot doesn't make sense when it's about mermaids, it's saying something. It's about, like, this fuckboy pirate who gets stranded in the ocean, and she saves him, and she, like, revives him after he drowns, and he, like, immediately starts hitting on her. And it's like, dude, I don't know how you have a boner right now. You literally almost died. There's no way this is working. And it just doesn't get any better from there. The logic has no place in this universe. It's just, oh gosh. It's just one thing after another that's just like, okay, I guess that's happening now. And it was just really bad. It's unfortunate because it was a buddy read, and I was like messaging Jean. I was like, girl, I can't. I can't with it. It's real bad. Frankly, even the sex in here is very mediocre. It's like, it's not even good sex. So I was like, ugh, she couldn't even write that good. Ugh, balls. No, I'm not doing this. You know what? I realize this is a controversial pick, but when I was thinking about the review I did of this book, it had to be on this list, which is The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. I read this and honestly really disliked it. This is her first book, so usually debuts, they can go either way. They could be incredible or they could be like, yikes. And personally, I feel like this is a yikes one. It's not very good. However, cover, gorgeous. It is a gorgeous cover. They really are selling it with the art. It's got like a little ribbon bookmarky thing in here. And it's not very good. I feel like there's like nuggets of Schwab writing style in here that I've seen in her later books that I loved. And then there's a lot of stuff that's like, I'm figuring out how I'm going to be writing. Like, it feels like this is the book where she's figuring out her writing style. And it's not good at points. I'm genuinely struggling to try to figure out like character motivations in here because things just happen for reasons. Like, there's not a lot of like logic and like character like thought process going on here. It feels like a fairy tale, I guess, in that aspect where things just happen because they happen, but it's not like an entertaining read necessarily. So yeah, this one's pretty unfortunate. I I think it's pretty. You know, cute but stupid. Basically. That's how I feel about it. It's a beautiful book. And it has some nuggets of Schwab writing that I liked, but overall, it's just like, this is kind of bad. I'm like, did you write this? Like, I didn't feel like Schwab wrote it, but it's like, oh, not good. It's not very good. It's sad, but I'm going to be honest, because I did review this poorly in another video, so I can't, like, pretend I didn't do that. But yeah, it's yikes. It's not very good. Another book I DNF'd, so it had to be on the list, was The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw. Again, gorgeous cover. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but it is holographic, like my fingernails. I read about 40 to 50% of it, and I was like, I give zero fucks about the outcome of this. Like, there are parts that are kind of cool, but they're so minuscule that it wasn't enough to make me care about anything else that was happening. The characters are very two-dimensional. There's no, like, inner life to them. They just feel like pawns, essentially. Like, this person's here, so that could happen, but, like, why is the person there? No one knows. I don't think the author knew. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. And I hope Shea Ernshaw's books in the future do very well, because I liked her as a human. I've met her. But, yeah, this one, it just wasn't for me. I know a lot of people who've read it and loved it, so I think it's just maybe a personal taste thing for me. Or maybe I was in a weird place. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. But objectively speaking, it's not terrible. It's just maybe not the book for me. I'm not the reader for this. So yeah, it's like what I read I really disliked, but a lot of people did like it. So maybe I'm just an idiot. I don't know. A Lesson in Thorns by Simone makes me feel like I live in the Twilight Zone because, like I was saying earlier, like the Mandela effect here, like I feel like I live in the one universe where this is bad and everyone else lives in the universe where it's good. I don't understand because I keep seeing such glowing reviews about it all the time. It's still all over Bookstagram all the time. Like I see it everywhere and people are raving about it. So I was like, all right, let's try this out. And I was buddy reading with Beautifully Bookish Bethany again. Maybe that's it. Bethany, I'm sorry. Books we picked together are not good. we read this and I was like, I started reading it. And from like sentence 1, page 1, I was like, oh, okay, so this is bad. This is a bad book. It's like immediately bad. It's not even well written, frankly. The writing is very poor. And I was like, oh, maybe the smut's good. And I got to the smutty bits and I was like, oh, nope, they're not good either. I mean, this is definitely for a niche audience. It's definitely more of a kink and BDSM community here. And no shade to them. I'm very laissez-faire about sexuality. Whatever both people are into and want to do, cool, go do that. That's fine. It's just like the way it was presented wasn't in a healthy way. BDSM is about, you know, safety, sanity, and something else that I can't remember right now. There's 3 tenets of it, but safety and sanity are 2 of them, and no one in here is sane. Basically, it's like all these kids have these like fucked up tragic pasts, and now they're in the present, and they're just taking out their trauma on everyone with their genitals, and it's like, I don't think this is a healthy thing. And the thing is, if the book was portraying these relationships as unhealthy, and obviously like, ooh, they shouldn't be doing that, but they're doing it anyway, and that was the point of the book, like I kind of would have got it. But the thing is, they're not portraying them in unhealthy ways. They're portraying it in like, ooh, look how dramatic and like melodrama and soap opera this is. Like, ooh, he saw them together, he's jealous now. And it's like, those people who are together shouldn't be together because they're both just dealing with their trauma with their genitals. Why does no one see this but me? So, yeah, the relationships in here are supposed to be kind of presented in a sexy way rather than a damaged, traumatic way. And I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into this in a weird way that no one else is, but it's like, it won't go away. Everyone still loves this, and I'm like sitting over here like, what the fuck did I read? Because I didn't read that. This is bad. It's very bad. It's not even well written, for fuck's sake. Ugh. Anyway, so yes, this is the book that just won't go away. Everyone likes it but me, apparently. Also on the list is The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. This book I went in with such high expectations for. It has a dope cover, it's got a dope title, it's even got a dope premise. It's kind of like a heist thriller in like Gilded era or the Belle Epoque in France. So you're like, ooh, it's gonna be sweet. I want all of those details, yes. And the book certainly is stylish. It's got that going for it. However, that's where the things it has going for it ends. It's stylish, but has no substance to it. It frankly bored me to tears in places, and at other times I was just like, ugh. So I was either bored or just frustrated most of the time. I wanted to like it. The characters in this do not feel fleshed out. They feel just like caricatures of other YA characters. And the thing is, like, I love Roshani, and like I've met her several times. She's like the sweetest person. I love her as a human. I just don't tend to like how she tells stories. So that's okay. You can like a person and not the way they tell stories. But I really wanted to like this. I really did. I had such high hopes because I had read something else by Roshani before, and I didn't like that one either. But I thought, you know, maybe it's like limited to that book because there was some good writing in it. Maybe this book is gonna like kill it. And I was like, nah, I just don't work with the writing. I'm sure there's a lot of people who like this book. Personally, like, my reading style and this writing style do not mesh. Is not something I like. It's really off-putting how much I dislike it because it's made of things I like. So like, how did this happen? How did this happen? It's made of everything I like and I hate it. So I don't know. I've given up. This is just not an author for me. It's okay. The last bad book of 2019 was Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This is another book that was literally made of things I love, and yet I hate it. Gosh. I went in thinking, this book is gonna kill it. Yes. Like, I was going in here so sassy. Like, yes, I'm gonna love this. It's gonna be 5 stars. It's gonna be my new series I'm, like, totally obsessed with. And then I started reading it, and I was like, all right, let's see if this gets better, you know. And then it did not get better. I finished it and I was like, what in the actual fuck? Like, that's how I felt, because it made no sense. It's literally made of everything I like, and I hate it. It's so bad. Oh my gosh. And I know so many people love it. I kept seeing it all over Instagram, and so many people were posting about it, saying how much they loved it, and I was like, it's gonna kill it. I went in here like, no one could tell me nothing. I went in here like, yes. And then I was like, oh man, I should have listened to reason. It's bad. It's like laughably bad. That's how I felt about it. There's certain things in here that are kind of cool. It is doing like an Eastern European magic system here. It feels very Slavic. And I don't get a lot of like Slavic magic in books. So there's that I was kind of feeling. I liked a lot of that type of magic, and because it has its own particular like flavor to it, and that was cool. However, there are so many scenes in this book, like, people do blood magic, okay, and in it you have to bleed to do the magic. Cool, I totally get that. But the thing is, these people bleed from all of their orifices. So if another person turned around with eyes, with bloody eyeballs, like, I was just gonna throw the book across the room. It's like you had one trick and you kept doing it repeatedly. It was like bleeding eyeballs. That was the trick. So many characters turned around with blood coming out of their eyes. Like, that was the line. And it happened at least 4 or 5 times. Someone turns around with blood eyes. And I was like, we get it. There's blood eyes. It's like cool once or twice at the point of reading it where I was like, oh, where's these bloody eyes? There they are. Those are the bloody eyes. It was just like laughable at that point. But yeah, it's just a hot mess. I really wanted to like it. The Slavic magic was a cool idea, and I appreciated, like, they went full Slavic in here. Like, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna lean into that. So props for that. I have to give it that at least. But like, story-wise, it's just laughably a mess. It was just really, really bad. And it was so unfortunate because I wanted to love it. Like, I went in thinking I'm gonna love this, and then like, oh, I hated it. I mean, the cover is great, so there's that at least. But oh, it's so bad. Ooh, all right. So that was 2019. Those are the bad books. And you know what? I didn't have a huge list of bad books. I tried to pick 10, And then the list I initially came up with only had like 11 books on it, and I took one off because it was like, it wasn't so bad. So realistically, like, I had to make an effort to get 10 bad books. So overall, in 2019, like, that's pretty good. I didn't read a lot of books I really hated. Considering the amount of books I read, having 10 or possibly 11 of them, not a bad average. I read 150 books this year. Well, last year in 2019. So, not a bad average overall. Let me know in a comment down below, do you agree with me or disagree with me? It's okay if you disagree, just, you know, be realistic here. Like, I'm not gonna like everything you like, and everything you like, I'm not gonna like, you know, it's how it is. But, yeah, if you agree with me, awesome. If you don't, I'm sorry, but I'm genuinely happy you like this book, because no one wants to read books they hate. Or let me know in the comments down below, what was your worst book of 2019? Which book did you just know we are not connecting, abort? Like, which book was that for you? If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!